Hey y'all, it's Sarah and Asterix. There are birds outside, so it's a very exciting day. Mwah. We just got our power back after many hours off. So I thought I'd film a short update. This is actually not about colitis. I need to film a longer update video about that. TLDR, still in the flare, some moderate improvements. So I'm hoping this protocol is going to keep working. I thought I'd pop on to share two things that I found really helpful for chronic illness more generally that have come up a little bit. So this makes me think of, I wrote a post a long time ago about 5 things not to say to an anxious person, and this is kind of a corollary to that. So the first one is, it's called the ring theory of grief or the ring theory of support. I was reminded of it by Carolyn Hacks, who's my favorite advice columnist. Fun fact, I love advice columns. She's at the Washington Post. But it's this idea of when you have someone who's dealing with something difficult, and she says it's the theories around grief, but it could be a chronic illness or a divorce or the loss of a loved one or whatever it happens to be, is this idea of how do you support that person and then how do you manage your own feelings. So you can think about the person who's impacted at the center, sorry, cat, and then concentric circles out. So just to use a fictional example, like let's say there was someone in my neighborhood, Sally Sue, and I just find out that she's been diagnosed with a brain tumor. By the way, there's no Sally Sue, there's no with a brain tumor. This is not even like, this is completely made up. So the idea is we want to support in and dump out, which I think is a horrible analogy. But this idea of, for Sally Sue, we think about, and if we're thinking about Sally Sue, we'd ask her, the people closest to her, how do we support Sally Sue? Does she want us to pop by? Does she want us to send funny cat videos? Does she want a meal every now and again? Like, what would be supportive for Sally Sue? And because Sally Sue's a great person, and I see her around the neighborhood, she's really friendly, she's got a brain tumor, I might have a lot of feelings about that. I feel like it's unfair. Maybe I'm questioning my own mortality. I am really sad and I'm stressed out. There's all sorts of different things that maybe I'm thinking about. But this idea is that I don't process that with Sally Sue. And I also don't process that with the people closest to her, because we're supporting in and we're dumping out. So if I need some support, in this case, I would turn to people further removed from the situation and get their support. So maybe I talk to my husband, maybe I'd process with a friend. By the way, this is what therapy is really great for, is processing things, or maybe I'll journal about it. But the idea being that we don't want to process what's happening with someone, to someone, with someone. And I heard that, and that was a good reminder for me, because I'm managing my own stuff, but it's been a tough couple of years. And so there are people in my life who are dealing with different types of challenges. And it's a good reminder that you can support, and again, asking for what type of support a person wants really matters. And then if you need support, or you have challenges or feelings or opinions, you push those out away from that person. So those are the rings of support. Highly recommend. And I feel like people have a lot of good intentions, but it's not helpful if you're dealing with something tough and people want to process what you're dealing with you, because your goal is to get well or to get through whatever that event is. The second thing, and I know I brought this up before, but it happened again, and I'm sharing it. I'm not going to say the person. This is not someone who is in my digital space at all. It's just it's a very nice person, very well-meaning person. This gets to the difference between intention and impact. So it's an acquaintance of mine, very nice person. We were just catching up, and they were asking about how I was doing. And I had mentioned I was on medical leave, and they were very concerned, and it was genuine, a lovely person. And they, like me, have no medical background. They have a different profession. And they also don't have either microscopic colitis or anxiety or any related conditions. And they had said, hey, so this was kind of part one, said, hey, have you ever thought about going to chiropractor for this? So this person doesn't know me very well, because if you know me at all, you know my opinion on chiropractors, which is never, not going to happen. It's kooky talk. That's my perspective. If chiropractors help you, keep going to the chiropractor. I know friends and family who love it. You do you. Never going to happen for me. It was clear that this had really helped this person for a completely unrelated health challenge. So I did what I normally did, which is like, well, the intention behind this is they're trying to be helpful. So I said, oh, thanks. I'm really glad that helped you. And so, I mean, this is kind of the gentle reminder is like, don't tell people what to do, especially if they're not asking. It's one thing if I'm connecting with someone who has experienced mental illness or has intestinal challenges, or I'm asking, hey, what would you do in this situation? Which I do sometimes. So that's kind of part one. But where they took it then was the part that was really unhelpful. And that was, again, I know this is coming in from a good place in this person's heart, which was, I can't believe they haven't recommended this to you. I can't believe that they're not thinking about this as an option. I can't believe they're not investigating this. And I think what was underneath this person felt bad. They wanted to be supportive. So I see that and I'm glad. But I cannot overstress this, how toxic it is when you're around someone who is sick or has chronic illness or whatnot to question their care and their care team. It takes so long for some of us to build trust with the professionals that we work with. I actually left a practitioner at the beginning of all of this because of the way that she was behaving, one of the doctors. And I will never work with her again because I did not think she had my best intentions. But even if that wasn't the case, people have the right to choose the care and the provider that they can and they want. And so it felt really frustrating because this person meant really well, but I'm just like, I have 3 physicians, a therapist, and a registered dietitian. These are all professionals in these fields. And neither this person nor I had the experience in any of these fields. So it really erodes the trust. It makes you second guess the plan that you're on. So I kind of shut it down in what I thought was a nice way. And I was like, oh, thanks for that. I don't want to talk about my treatment plan. And they went along with it. I hope I've been using they pronouns this whole time instead of sharing more about this person, but they're not going to be watching this. So it's really, really hard. Because again, I think a lot of times people have really good intentions. They really want to be helpful. And it's hard for us to feel helpless. But coming back to the circles, that's for you to work on and for you to think, I feel helpless. How am I going to process feeling helpless? And it's not by just like the word vomiting ideas to this person. I know for me, patience is not my virtue. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm working on it. I think it will be a lifelong striving for me. Is my treatment moving as fast as I would like? No, it is not. But that's what it is. So you either trust your practitioners or you don't. And I do. I trust all of my practitioners. I feel like we have the plan. We're working the plan. I don't know what the end point is going to be. I don't know how we're going to get there, but I have confidence that we're moving through things in a logical fashion and understanding, this is for the other update, that there could be some other things that are impacting the slowness of my recovery. That's fine. But it is really, really hard to have that question when you are doing your best and you're trying to follow along with what you're supposed to be doing. So that's all I have to say about that. So just remember, when you've got someone in your life, more specifically around illness or related to health, just supporting them unless they're asking for your opinion, and recognizing, and this is far too long to cover here, but reading stuff on the internet does not make you an expert in these types of things. Like, I have read a ton about my condition, and my husband's read even more. He subscribes now to an academic paper service to read things like this. Neither of us are physicians. So I need to turn to Dr. B, my gastroenterologist, to say, hey, what's going on with this? There's one thing about being informed, but I am of the belief that I'm going to these experts and to this team that I've picked out on purpose. If I wanted to go alone, I would have gone it alone, but this is the team. I'm confident in that. So that was a little more passionate than I thought, but that's okay. Maybe it's just I'm heating up a little bit now that the electricity is back on. But I hope to be back in the next week or so to share more. Thanks for listening. Bye.